Hello everyone, welcome back to the Hot Girls and Hockey podcast. My name is Sarah. If you're new here, this is the show where we talk about all things hockey, the what to knows, the who to knows, and everything in between. Today's episode is going to be the team deep dive on the New York Rangers. Very exciting, very cool. They are a team with tons and tons of history, so I'm really excited to get into it. First things first, some very exciting news. I don't know if you've heard, but the Sharks signed Michael Misa to an entry-level contract, which means that he will be playing this season. I'm literally so fucking excited. I was on like pins and needles waiting to see if he would decide to go the college route or if he would decide to just go straight into the NHL. And I'm really excited that he's going to do that. I'm very happy that he'll have guys like, you know, Mac and Will Smith and William Eklund to kind of help him ease into this whole universe and world of being an NHL star, pretty much. I mean, he kind of got a taste of it during the whole draft season when really all eyes were on like him and Matthew Schaefer, so I'm very, very excited for that. I'm excited to see him on opening night on October 9th. And yeah, other than that, nothing else really hockey related to talk about. The news from Michael Misa just broke today, like a couple hours before filming this. So I am just, that was just like the best news ever. Yeah, I think without anything else to talk about, let's just get into today's episode. I do have my Sharks cup with my non-branded black cherry seltzer. So if you want to grab a snack, grab a little drinky drink, unless you're driving, do not drink and drive. Unless you're drinking water or soda or energy drink or something like that. But yeah, let's just get into the deep dive on the Rangers. Cheers. Okay, so like I mentioned, Rangers have a lot of history. If you did not know, or if you don't remember from way back when I did my NHL history episode, they are one of the original 6 teams for the NHL. And so with that being said, this year they're celebrating 100 years, or I guess not this year, but like this season. Technically 2026 is the year, but they're celebrating 100 years of being a team, which means it's 100 years of history. So just like in my Boston Bruins episode when I said this, I'm not gonna be able to go over every single thing that's ever happened in the team. Not gonna be able to go through every single coach, every single owner, every single GM, every single whatever. I won't be able to go over that because there's just way too much and not enough time, because I procrastinated this episode really, really bad, because like I mentioned last episode, I'm going to Hawaii, unless you're leaving in a couple days from filming this episode, and I need to record this, edit, finish up my research for the next episode, which will not be next week, remember, it'll be the week after that when I come back from Hawaii. But it's just been a lot and I procrastinated, and I'm sorry guys, this is coming up like 2 days late. I might change my schedule. I might do Thursdays instead of Tuesdays. I don't know yet, but for right now, I mean, this is coming up on a Tuesday, but who knows what the future holds. But yeah, not gonna go over every single aspect of the team, just like really the most important stuff, and just so you can get like a general grasp of knowledge and on how the team was, you know, formed, how they've been doing, how they used to do, and everything like that. Okay, so we'll start at the very, very beginning. The New York Rangers are an NHL hockey team. They're in the Eastern Conference of the Atlantic Division. Like I mentioned, next year, 2026, will mark 100 years of the team being a team. And they're one of the original 6 teams, which, if you don't remember, like I said before, it's the Boston Bruins, the New York Rangers, the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Chicago Blackhawks, the Detroit Red Wings, and the Montreal Canadiens. So where did we start? Where are we going to start? So we're going to start with a man named George Louis Richard, or as he's known as his nickname, Tex Richard. That's Tex. So he was, at the time, this is 1926, he was the president of Madison Square Garden. I'm going to call it MSG for short. If you don't know what Madison Square Garden is, it's a big arena in New York. I believe it's like multiple buildings, like they've had multiple versions of the Madison Square Garden. So he's like really rich guy, and like all rich guys, they want to expand their wealth and be entrepreneurs. So he was awarded an NHL franchise for the 1926 to 1927 season of the NHL. Before the Rangers were created, though, I do have to mention a team called the New York Americans. They were another NHL expansion team that also played at Madison Square Garden. They are not a team anymore. They the team of itself is not a team anymore. They only lasted from 1925 to 1942. So they had been a team for literally only a year before Tex got his NHL franchise, and he was just like, no guys, like it's fine, we'll have the two teams and it'll be good, like it'll be fine. Spoiler alert, it was not fine. Obviously the New York Americans do not exist anymore, but the New York Rangers still do. And the whole premise of creating the Rangers was kind of also to create like a little competition between them, even though Tex kind of like reassured the Americans, like, it's okay guys, it doesn't mean that you guys are not gonna like be a team anymore. But like I mentioned, they're not a team anymore. So the original name of the team was New York Giants Professional Hockey Club before being changed to New York Rangers Hockey Club, and their nickname was Texas Rangers, like his name is Tex and Rangers, and like, yeah. Their first game will be played on November 16th, 1926 against a team called the Montreal Maroons, which the Rangers won, so slay, not bad for the first game. And originally the manager / coach of the team was going to be Conn Smythe, who, big name in hockey, there's literally an award named after him. He would later become owner of the Toronto Maple Leafs, but he's a very influential figure in hockey, so it was very big that he was tied to the team. But it really didn't work out that well. He had some issues with staff on the team, so then he was like, peace, I'm not gonna be fucking dealing with this. And he was replaced with a guy named Lester Patrick, who was the co-founder of the Pacific Coast Hockey Association. And so the Rangers' very first season in the 1926 to 1927 season started out pretty good. 3 out of the first games that they've ever played were shutouts, which, if you don't remember what a shutout is, it just means that they scored on the team. Like the Rangers scored on the other team a bunch of times, but the other team never scored on the Rangers. They ended it with 5-0 with the Rangers winning, or you know what I mean. And they kind of had a drop in performance in December, so the month after their first game, but they kind of just found their footing a little bit after the holidays. Remember, this is their very first season as a team, so they're not going to be stellar, but they're pretty good. They would win the American Division title, but they lost to the Bruins in the playoffs that year. But they had a really good record for the first season. It was 25-13-6 for their very first season. And not long after that, in the 1928 Stanley Cup playoffs, they actually made it all the way to the finals, and they won the 1928 Stanley Cup against the Montreal Maroons, which is just so full circle to me. They played their very first game against this team, and then they won their very first cup against this team. I think that was very poetic, very fun, and I don't know, I just liked that little fact. And this is only their second season as a team, so slay, we love that. I do think that it can be kind of a blessing or a curse to have really, really good beginning seasons, where you're kind of at the top, because you don't want to peak too soon, because then it just kind of goes downhill from that. But what do I know? I'm just a girl who yaps on the internet. Then it was during the 1929 and 1930 season that they became the first NHL team to ever travel to a game by plane, when they traveled to Toronto to play against the Maple Leafs. And, they lost that game, but they made history as the first team to travel by plane to a game. And they made it to the finals in 1929, but they lost to the Bruins. But you know what? It's fine. They have only, at that point, 2-3 seasons under their belt, and they have 1 cup, so not bad. The early 1930s saw some struggles from the team. but they would end up winning their second cup in 1933 against Toronto. It's also worth mentioning that very much like the Bruins and a lot of the original 6 teams, they also were affected by World War II happening and having some of their players drafted to go help out in the war. So they're affected by that as well. It was around this time, after they won the cup in 1933, that they got this new coach named Frank Boucher, Boucher. He actually was a former player for the Rangers. He also played on the Montreal Maroons, but he also played on the Rangers as well. And he played, he was a professional hockey player, and then he retired, and then he came back to coach. And then I was reading up a little bit of history about him. He has kind of a fascinating career. And then he just decided he wanted to play hockey again. He came out of retirement and played. I don't know. It's very interesting. If you want me to do an episode about him, I can do that as well. But that is now their new coach. And wouldn't you know it, only 7 years after that, they would win the cup again in 1940 against Toronto again. So now they have been a team for 14 years, and they have 3 cups under their win, which, hey, really good. There are some teams that have been a team longer than that, and they don't have any. But this high of winning the 1940 Stanley Cup came, and then things just kind of went downhill after that, because the 40s were not very kind for them. They would miss the playoffs for 5 consecutive seasons. I mean, they would make the playoffs in the later years, 47, 48, but they would lose. They wouldn't win the cups those years. In the 1950s playoffs, fun fact, all of their games, including home games, had to be played in Toronto, because their arena, which they play at Madison Square Garden, was being used to host the Ringling Brothers Circus at the time. So the Tex was just I'm assuming that Tex was still a fucking owner of MSG. He was just well, you guys can just play in Toronto. It's fine. There's gonna be elephants in this place. You don't want to play hockey with the elephants. And they lost that playoff series to Detroit. So it's fun. It didn't even matter where they played, they still lost. The 70s were a little bit better. Nothing really big happened in the 60s, if I'm being real. I mean, they moved into their new arena. They moved into the 4th version of MSG in 1968, but other than that, there's nothing really significant that happened in the 60s, at least not that I read. If there were things that you know about that happened in the 60s, you can definitely let me know in the comments. But the 1970s would see them go to the finals twice. So, great. Improvement. Love it. Especially after not having very much luck the past decade or so, or 2 decades. But they would lose to the Bruins and the Canadiens, respectively, in each of those finals. And now, enter stage left, a new team, a new girl in school, and her name is the New York Islanders. So New York got another team. Very interesting. They started their branch into the NHL for the 1972 and 1973 season, and the Islanders would become their new rivals after they defeated the Rangers in the first round of the 75 playoffs. So they were kind of killing it, the Islanders, not gonna lie, and then it just was solidified by them beating the Rangers in the 75 playoffs. That was okay, so we're fighting now. Okay, that's great. Okay, we'll do that. And also during the 1970s, they would acquire players like Joe Zanussi, I hope I'm saying your last name right, Anders Hedberg, and Ulf Nilsson, and many more guys. And these changes would lead them to make the playoffs each year in the 80s and in the 90s. And in the 1994 Stanley Cup playoffs, they actually would win their 4th cup. So they won the 1994 Stanley Cup. And this would end their curse of the past 54 years of not winning the cup, and then also not making the playoffs consistently, and all bunch of other stuff. Because if you don't remember, the last time that they won the cup was in 1940. It is 1994 now. That's crazy. Like, I don't know. What was also notable about the 90s was that it was in 1996 when the Rangers acquired Wayne Gretzky. If you don't remember from my Wayne Gretzky episode, he did play for the Rangers for a bit, and it was while he was on the Rangers that he ended up retiring from hockey completely. As we enter into the new millennium, so we're entering into the 2000s, we would see lots of star players and lots of players with lots of potential join the team, as like Theron Fleury, Eric Lindros, Pavel Bure, etc. I am so shit at these fucking names. I am so sorry if for some reason any of them, if they're still alive, I'm assuming, listen to this. I'm so sorry if I butcher your names. I'm but a girl. I'm trying my best. And they also during this time would acquire this goalie named Henrik Lundqvist, and they acquired him in the 05 and 06 season. This was his rookie season. They drafted him, and he just, like, slayed. I feel like, you know what? I haven't done an episode on any goalies. I feel like I want to do one. I want to do one on, what's his name? Marc-Andre Fleury? He was on the Minnesota, he retired, but he was on the Minnesota Wild. But I want to do one on him. I think that would be fun for, maybe in the future. Because the next episode is going to be another player profile. But, sorry, I'm just going off script right now. Sorry. So they were kind of slaying in the early 2000s and everything like that. And they were all fun and fresh and cute. But it was during, like, the late 2000s / the early 2010s that things kind of would become a struggle bus. Also, fun fact, if you've never seen the movie 13 Going on 30, I can't remember Jennifer Garner's character's name. I think her name was like Julie or something. But her, in the whole thing of like her flashing forward and being in her 30s or being like 31 or whatever, her boyfriend is on the New York Rangers, which I hadn't seen the movie in like a really long time, and I rewatched it like this past Valentine's Day with my boyfriend, and I kept seeing like New York Rangers stuff in her office, and I'm like, wait, what the hell? And then they showed the boyfriend, and they were like, oh, he's like a star forward on the New York Rangers. I was like, what the fuck? When was there hockey involved in this movie? It was crazy. It was really funny. I was like, oh, I'm sad. I am sad. Don't get to see any hockey in it, but you know what? The Rangers are mentioned, and that's all that matters. In the beginning of the 2010s would see some very sad news. In May of 2011, forward player Derek Boogaard was found dead at age 28. He was a player on the team. He was an active NHL player, wasn't retired or anything. I read a little bit about his life and his struggles and stuff. He struggled a lot with addiction. So that was just not a very happy way to start this new decade. But very, very, very sad. In the 2011-2012 season, they made the playoffs, but they lost in the third round. In the 2013 playoffs, it was the same shit as the 2012 playoffs, but they lost in the second round this time. And after some, switches in coaching and getting a new player from Tampa named Martin St. Louis, things were kind of looking good. They made it to the finals in 2014 for the first time in 20 years, but they did lose to the LA Kings. And then after this is really just started another round of rebuilding the team, finding out what works, finding out what doesn't, because it was a lot of making playoffs, but getting knocked out in the first or second or third round. And it just like became a thing of, what did we have before and how can we recreate it to get back to where we were before, whether that be switching out coaches, switching out team owners, switching out players, trading players, acquiring draft picks, stuff like that, kind of just like throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. And things kind of did look up a little bit in 2019. That's when they got Jacob Trouba, the Trouba train, if you know, which was a big step forward. I feel like getting him as well as getting Adam Fox from the Carolina Hurricanes kind of gave him a little bump for the 2019 and 2020 season. But they still would, make playoffs, but get eliminated. And it also was in September of 2020 when our man Henrik Lundqvist ended his tenure and as a New York Ranger goalie after 15 years of being on the team. So now where are we now? It's still hit or miss with the team. They made playoffs in the 2024 Stanley Cup playoffs, but they would lose in the third round against Florida Panthers, who would go on to win that year's cup. And then they failed to make playoffs this past season, which, not that surprised. They're a team with so much potential to get back to their glory days. One of my favorite players is on that team, Matt Rempe. Controversial. I don't want to fucking hear it. I don't want to hear that he's only good because he fights. He's a good player. Like, watch his games where he doesn't, like, pick a fight with somebody. I don't get it. I don't get the Matt Rempe hate, and I don't know. I love his sister. She's an influencer. Her name is Ali Rempe. Gorgeous girl. Has the cutest outfits. And love her brother. Love Matt Rempe. He's, like, a freakishly tall guy with a really big heart. If you've ever seen the video of him when he's like coaching these like little pee-wee hockey players, it's really funny. Because he's just like fucking 6'4". They're like 2 feet tall. But yeah, they have all the capabilities of being a really, really good team. I want to see them succeed because they're just a staple in NHL history. Like, you think of hockey, you think of, at least before I like actually learned all the teams and really started getting into hockey, if you asked me to name like 3 hockey teams, I would say New York Rangers, Boston Bruins, and fucking Toronto Maple Leafs, because there's just 3 like really iconic jerseys that I would think of that come to mind. Like the Rangers diagonally across the chest, iconic. They're an iconic team that hopefully can see a rise again in the next couple of years, and we can see them go up to their true potential that I know that they can go to, but we'll just have to see. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, this has been the Team Deep Dive on the New York Rangers. I tried to keep it as simple as I could, not do too many detail rambly things, and hopefully you liked it. Sorry if I skipped over some stuff. Like I said, 100 years of this team, guys. I can't do that. It was a lot researching the Boston Bruins, and I put way more details into that episode than I did this one. And it was just like a lot. So I hope you liked this. If there's anything that I missed that you're like, I wish you would have mentioned this, put it in the comments below if you're watching this on YouTube. Or just like let me know and DM the Instagram account for the podcast, and we can have a little chit chat about it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It does help out a lot. If you're listening to this on Spotify, please make sure to give the show a good rating. You can follow me on Instagram. It's at Hot Girls Learn Hockey. And then you can also follow me on TikTok. It's at HGLH Pod. I post highlight reels, any hockey news and stuff I post on there. Any collabs that I do, like the one I did with Hockey Princess, will be on the Instagram. It's not on my TikTok, but it is on my Instagram. There's gonna be nothing from me next week. Like I mentioned, I'll be in Hawaii, maybe watching some of the preseason games, just like under the table at dinner. But you know what? I'm just a girl who's like really excited for hockey season. But yeah, next week's, or I guess not next week's, but like next episode will be the player profile on Patrick Kane. Super excited about that. I hope the Hockey Princess is also very excited, because she mentioned that, she loves him as a player and everything like that. So that's one's for you, girl. And yeah, I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.